LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
All right, well, it was the last story on the news, so I'll do that first. I'll do the last story first, and then we'll move on. Steaks being served by some big restaurant chains have been found to come from beef cattle interbred with zebu.
What?
Zebu. Any ideas? Zebu? Hands in the air, anybody? Anybody at all? What's a zebu when it's at home? No? Oh, time's up. And where's home? I've never heard of a zebu. One steak bought at a pub was 67% zebu. I don't know why the word zebu is so fun. It's probably because it starts with a Z and ends in boo. As in, George Osborne.
No!
Like that. One steak bought at a pub was 67% zebu from the it's a humped cattle. Well, that poses more questions than it answers. Really, humped, you say, which originated in India and whose meat tends to be tougher than British beef. 4 out of 6 steaks sampled at the famous pub chain, which I haven't mentioned, I'm drawing a veil over it for their convenience, contain DNA from the animal. Just small bits of it. 3 out of 9 steaks sold by another pub chain also tested positive for zebu. Yet neither company, identified the meat's origin on its menus. Well, they wouldn't, because nobody has any idea what that is. Would you like some zebu, sir? This same pattern is likely to be repeated at virtually all major restaurant chains, which suggests millions are not being told what they're being served. Diners... So what did the investigative reporter do? He showed the prospective diners a picture of a zebu. You can find one on the World Wide Web. And diners said that, in a nutshell, they said, and I'm quoting, I don't want to eat that. Which rather implies that we want our meat to come from animals that are not cute, but not too ugly either. Sort of, like a midway. Looks like a daytime TV presenter level of bland appearance. We don't want to eat dogs, and yet we don't want to eat frogs. How many steaks do you think we could get out of Alan Titchmarsh? I reckon that he could probably keep us in fatty nourishment from now until Christmas. No offence. The problem, apparently, from this zebu problem stems from the fact that a huge quantity of the beef sold in big brand restaurants and staff canteens is from Brazil. Brazilian beef. It's not the best. It's cheap, and there is no legal requirement for its origin to be labelled on the menu, which rather suggests a loophole in the law. So big you could drive a bus through it. So big you could park a cow's bottom in it. A high proportion of Brazilian beef cattle have been interbred with the zebu. Videos are available online. There's long been a question over the eating quality of the animal's beef. Zebu. Now, is this the first time that you've heard of this story? Did you hear about this story today? Did you hear about it yesterday?
No.
Or last week?
No.
Not at all, because this is not a current story. This is a story from August 2007. What? 2007. And as one, the food industry has been spinning on its heels, going, what? Us? Oh, this is all very new. We had no idea. Since 2007 this has been going on. And only a brief 6 years later, the Food Standards Agency has leapt into action, as you just heard on the news. They have your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speedy. 2007 that's been going on for. So feel confident that if you've been eating meat, even if you haven't been eating meat, they've probably been sticking some up it. And therefore in you. And you know what the next one's going to be? Fish. The next scandal coming your way is fish mislabelling. Because this is rife in America at the moment, and what happens in America used to happen here 10 years later. But these days, what with, internet technology... Has the internet caught on? things happen much more quickly. The Washington Post reports that as much as 1/3 of seafood sold in restaurants and groceries is fraudulently labelled. 1/3. The report sampled 674 retail outlets, often finding cheaper farmed fish being sold in place of wild caught. How many times have you been at the fish counter and you think, well, it's a bit more expensive, but I'll have some wild salmon? Not wild. Almost certainly not wild. They're just pretending that it is. It's like the organic mongers. Not necessarily organic. Just because it says so on the label doesn't make it so. 95% of sushi restaurants sold mislabeled seafood. 95%, as in almost all of them. 52% of other restaurants and 27% of grocery stores also sold mislabeled seafood. So what you're paying for over the top, because fish isn't cheap these days, and if you're buying it in a restaurant, then you'll be paying top money for, that's my meal of sole, or whatever it was, backing up on me. So in other words, if you order fish, particularly in a sushi restaurant, now this is in America, so we just assume that what happens in America is also happening here. It'd be surprising if it wasn't. The deception can occur anywhere along the distribution chain, but some suppliers prey on ignorant chefs. One shop owner said, I think it comes down to a restaurant or chef who's trying to buy something cheaper and jazz it up and call it something else, and charge accordingly. Purveyors also inflate the weight of the seafood they're selling by adding water. Don't they squirt water up a chicken? Well, not literally, but they inject chicken meat with water in order to make it heavier. I believe that's true. And if it isn't, then I was going to say I apologise to the food industry, but I don't. Purveyors inflate the weight of seafood they're selling by adding water. Inspectors have found inaccurate weight counts 40% of the time. In other words, if you buy fish twice, you've almost certainly been ripped off. 94% of tuna in New York wasn't tuna. Which rather begs the question, what is it? Is it zebu? 87% of snapper is also mislabelled. 94% of tuna in New York was not tuna. Well, what was it? Overall, Southern California had the worst labelling record. 52% of its fish marked wrong. And the worst venue for wrong labels, sushi restaurants, 95% rate of inaccurate labelling. In many cases, sushi joints called escolar or albacore canned tuna white tuna. Too much of it can cause diarrhea. At grocery stores, 27% of the products are mislabelled. In many cases, cheaper fish took place of the more expensive ones. Well, you'd think so. Less than 1% of seafood sold in the US undergoes testing for fraud. Less than 1% of seafood sold in America undergoes testing for fraud. So let's assume that in this country it's even worse than that. Should we go ahead and assume that?
Yes.
Okay, just to save time. Just to save time, we'll freak out now. We have no idea what we're eating. It's a good job we have the Food Standards Agency on our side. Otherwise we'd be in real trouble. Real trouble like Maria Hutchings. Here's a question. What does the Eastleigh by-election tell us, if anything? Because people have been saying all manner of things. They've been saying that it tells us that David Cameron is stuffed, that he's too metropolitan and out of touch with real Tory values. It's told us that the UKIP people are not just a complaining vote. People moaning and whining and complaining about the other parties and voting UKIP. They're voting UKIP positively, for positive reasons, not negative ones. That's what they have been saying, claiming it they have. Other people have been saying, well, it's the turnout was relatively low. What it actually means is that people have become disillusioned with party politics. People have become disillusioned with the political machine, with individuals who spend their entire life just being politicians. What kind of a job is that? Being a liar for a living. Did you see this video of Maria Hutchings? Maria Hutchings was the Conservative candidate. Bozo the mayor. actually went there to support her. And what a fat lot of good that did. Hey, maybe that should be his new, come the next election, maybe that should be Bozo's campaign slogan. Boris Johnson, fat lot of good. Following the Liberal Democrat win at the Eastleigh by-election, Conservative candidate Maria Hutchings gave an excruciating reaction to reporters' questions. It's so funny, you've got to look it up. In fact, if you go to my Twitter feed, I tweet, or you can go to the my Facebook page. It's on my face space. Then I put a link to this video. It'll only take maybe 30 seconds of your time, but it's well worth watching. It's hilarious. It could be the funniest political video of all time. Maria Hutchings, for it was she, gave what is described as an excruciating reaction. Well, I would describe it as hilarious, like laugh out loud funny. To this reaction to reporters' questions by keeping completely silent, but with a fixed smile on her face. I've never seen anybody look more uncomfortable in my life. If she had been trying to unscrew her own feet, she couldn't have looked less comfortable. She's completely surrounded by journalists who, by the way, are utterly playing up to their type. You know, here, what you think of this? What you think of the result then, love? Take your top off? You know, that kind of thing. And she is the hole in their donut. They have totally... it's just absolutely comical. And when you're looking at it, look it up on my Twitter page or my face space. When you're looking at it, you can't actually believe your own eyes. It looks like the world's most uncomfortable attempt at group sex. It is awful. They're crushing this woman as she's attempting to make her way out of the hall. And the group of them, it's almost as though they have been stapled together because they're shuffling as one. It's like one organic compound of separate individuals that have been joined for this moment and appear unable to unstick themselves as they shuffle towards the door. And they're firing questions at her constantly. And she is, really bizarrely, otherworldly, weirdly, not answering at all. She's saying nothing. But this is a response, a policy that you can take when you have an exit. You can whisk yourself brusquely by reporters who are firing questions at you, as long as you have an escape. What you cannot do is stand there, penned in, and with a rictus grin on your face, say nothing to a barrage of questions that are coming at you, because it makes you look like, what's the nicest way of saying this? A dope. Yeah, that's it. It's great. You've got to go and look it up. Maria Hutchings. Her minute-long silence as she struggled to get through the crowd of journalists led to one reporter asking her, "Why won't you speak?" So I'll talk about that in a minute, and during the course of this advert break. No, actually, listen to the ads, because the messages you're about to hear are very important, and then go and avail yourself of the video on the World Wide Wade. And we'll talk about what it is that Eastleigh actually means, if anything at all. I'd also like to, as a background hum to the programme, investigate Wales with both hands. What has Wales ever done for us? 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
Hello.
Page 20-something for the Pope. The Pope's been on everything. Every time I've been turning on the TV, there's the Pope and all of his cohorts. I had to tune to Russia Today during the mid part of this week to get news that wasn't the Pope. I actually had to try hard. Wanstead, hello, June.
Hello, good evening.
June.
Yes?
Well, don't say it like it's a surprise.
The traceability of meat.
Yeah.
I'm into the food business myself. People say it's an East End meal, pie and mash. But in my pies, we've got Scottish beef that we can trace back to the abattoir it comes from. So we have to have a certificate. And then all we put in it was this the Scottish beef, Bristow salt and pepper. Now, if people would only realise that this can happen, you can force the shops to show you their traceability of what they're putting in their pies and their sausages and whatever.
But all they have to say is, yeah, this is Scottish beef. Then it might not be. It might be New Zealand zebu.
No, that's fraud. You can't do that.
Well, we're talking about fraud, aren't we? We're talking about selling beef that's actually horse.
Same thing with fish.
It's not remotely listening to me.
I drive miles to go to a fishmonger that's got his own smoke holes.
He's got his what now?
You are what you eat. And I think if you feed your body with the correct food, your brain is more intense and you think better. I'm old, an old East Ender, and my auntie said, starve the body and you starve the mind, which is true. And I think to myself, well, if my little shops that I've got can prove where my beef comes from the abattoirs, because the three of them have linked together now in Scotland, you know, they're the top price now in the whole of Europe, but I think you only get what you pay for. If you want to pay 4p for something, you're going to be eating 4p worth of rubbish. And if you want to pay for good food, then you're eating good food. That's what I'm saying, Nick.
Yeah, well, it sort of makes sense. Kind of. Not really, but I suppose so. Just because it says on the packet where it comes from doesn't necessarily mean that that's where it comes from. Just because it says in the packet that it's beef, don't necessarily make it so. That's the entire nature of the scandal. Just because they say it is, don't necessarily mean that it is. But anyway, thanks a lot, June, for advertising your shop. Some texts and emails. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's at lbc973. Before I do that, let me do this. Birmingham, hello, Cherie.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Hi, Cherie.
I was just going to say, there was a raid on a market stall in Birmingham. The guy was selling fake Nike trainers.
Who was?
Well, why... There was a chap selling fake Nike trainers. Not only was he raided, but his safety deposit box was taken with the money. Now, my worry is, why can't they raid people selling the fake meat? You know, fake horse as beef. Does that make sense?
Well, you mean, why can't they raid the giant supermarkets?
Yeah, not the supermarkets per se, but anybody selling horse as beef.
Well, that'd be the supermarkets then.
Yeah, well, yeah, but why are they not raided? The people doing this, yet they're raiding the market stalls. And not only that, they're going into their safety deposit boxes. Yeah. One guy lost 400 grand.
400 grand?
Yeah, because he had like a chain of market stalls selling the fake Nike.
And he had 400 grand in cash?
In his safety deposit box. Do you see what I mean?
I think I'm in the wrong business.
and also, I can say that the head of Ofsted used to run a school that didn't allow the kids to choose their dinners, have packed lunches, or leave. What were those kids eating? This is a school in Hackney.
What were they eating?
Yeah, you know, I think it's usually called Wiltshire. He's the head of Ofsted. He used to run an academy in Hackney, and you were not allowed to leave the school as a kid.
Right.
You weren't allowed to pick your dinner. You were given a set
or your
menu.
Nose. Mm-hmm.
And you weren't even allowed to take in a packed lunch.
Right, good. Are you saying this is a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm saying, what on earth were the kids eating?
Well, was it reformed turkey bits? Was it that pink stuff that Jamie Oliver described so violently on the telly?
I've got a funny feeling there may be some kind of money-making agenda behind why our food doesn't work out properly. I mean, I was watching, funnily enough, Blue Peter, and I saw a horror thing with our vegetables.
Excuse me.
Grown...
Did something horrible with vegetables? I can't wait to hear this. Yes, go on.
They're grown, apparently, without soil.
In manure. What?
They're grown in manure, there's that. But where they're not in the manure, in Holland, all our vegetables are grown with no soil. They're just grown in a water solution in a big warehouse, and Blue Peter went round the warehouse. I was horrified.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad. I mean, then you get to vegetables that aren't dirty. Who wants their vegetables grown in something that's dropped out of a cow's behind?
I know.
No one. That's who. No one. In Holland, are you sure it was vegetables?
Want to score some pot?
Yeah, we're having vegetables grown without soil.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, so
good. Soil's very valuable, is it? I don't know.
So we have got a food problem that needs looking
Well,
at.
there seems to be a lot of problems on your mind, Cherie, like fake Nikes, money in, what did you say it was?
Safety
deposit boxes, yeah.
Police raided, yeah.
Well, it seems very, if I had £400,000 in cash in a safety deposit box, then I'd be suspicious of myself.
Yeah,
but the reason why, and you're quite right to point this out, the reason why that they pick on the little man is the same all the way through society. They're naming and shaming tax cheats that are plumbers, but not banks.
Yeah.
They've said that banks are not only too big to fail, they're also too big to prosecute. That's why nobody has gone to jail for ruining the world. Thank you so much. And it's always the same. They pick on the little people, Cherie, not leprechauns.
I know. It's a pity we can't come together and kind of do something.
Well, you're not sticking up for somebody who's selling fake Nikes, are you? How much were they?
The fake Nike, I think, do you remember when the Air Jordans were very popular? There were Nikes designed by an old basketball player, Michael Jordan. Well, they were coming in at £190, so you could get them fake.
Can you believe that? £190 for a piece of plastic that's nailed together by, skilled artisans in, the most fabulous factories. It's either that or it's, I better not say it, in case it's not true. But you know what I'm thinking?
Yeah, the fake ones come in about £30, £40.
£30, £40. That sounds like a reasonable. In fact, that sounds like a slightly too much money to pay for what we used to call, Cherie, pumps.
Yeah.
Pumps, we used to call them. Pumps, and used to get them in Woolies for threepence halfpenny, I bet. It were grand when we were a lad.
I know, but I think the country needs to come together at our at how we're treated by those in authority. Do you see what I mean?
No. But you've expressed you've expressed it very well. I just have no idea what you're saying. But anyway, thanks a lot, Cherie. Hey, how's Birmingham working out for you, by the way? It's all right. And there it is in a nutshell. 0845 6060 973. Another satisfied customer on LBC 97.3, where the time is 10:30.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Look at this response to the Eastleigh by-election. Is anybody remotely interested?
No.
No interest at all. Are you joking? What does the result of the Eastleigh by-election tell us? Over to you, 0845 6060 973. Meanwhile, back on our plates, Surbiton. Hello, Diana.
Hello there.
Diana,
right,
hello there.
I'll comment on the by-election. Mr Cameron is just waking up from his 40 winks, okay?
What does that mean?
Where he says that he realises, that he's got to go down different ways and means, etc. Near enough words to that effect.
But is that an explanation? Because I'm still confused. So which way should he be going down?
Confused over that because all he's discussed is gay marriages and wind farms. he hasn't been dealing with the problems in this country.
That's all he's about: gay marriages and wind farms.
Yeah, we haven't got any problems according to him.
No.
No, you know what I mean. Anyway, I want to comment on the meat. I go to butchers, and that butcher knows exactly where he gets his meat from.
Yeah, he's not going to tell you, though, is he?
Pardon?
He'll say, "Oh, madam, this is the most excellent British beef that money can buy." Meanwhile, he's palming you off with Zebu.
No, listen to what I've got to say.
Yeah, I am listening.
Right? Scotch beef, and then we have old spot pork from East Anglia and the ordinary, and the lamb from Kent, right? Salt of Kent and Scottish lamb. Now, when you come to see it, using common sense, if he wasn't selling decent meat, he wouldn't be in business, would he?
Well, you could say that about supermarkets. Just because you don't know what it is doesn't mean to say that you won't like it. Zebu.
Yeah, but I wouldn't buy the supermarket meat.
I do. What's wrong with it? Nothing wrong with supermarket. No, it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with it. I would actually, and I know this is going to get a lot of people's backs up, but and I know I'm not alone in this. I am probably in the majority. I don't want meat, or fish for that matter, to look like it was ever alive. I don't want to see somebody cutting up like giant amounts of it in front of me. I don't want to see, half an animal hanging on a hook.
It's all in display already for you to buy.
I want it in disguise, and I want it on a polystyrene dish covered in cellophane.
Well, he can't be doing so bad because he always has a queue there every Saturday outside his butcher shop.
Well, Sweeney Todd was busy too.
I know he was, but he had a bloody barber shop, didn't he?
No, the pie shop was doing boffo business.
Yeah, I expect you had some of his pies.
Humans. So yummy.
You haven't got your glamour assistant on tonight, have you?
No, she's taking a break.
Yeah, I said to him, does he call you his glamour assistant?
What, the bloke who took your call? Yeah, not really, no. Anyway, thanks a lot for setting me straight there. If only you knew. Thanks a lot for setting me straight, Diana, so to speak. 0845 6060 973. Does anybody have any idea what that call was about?
No.
What was it about? This is my show, and even I'm confused. Is anybody remotely interested in talking about the Eastleigh by-election? If you go to my Twitter page, which is NI Abbot, or you go to my Facebook, go and look up me on the internet. Then you'll see this video of Maria Hutchings desperately trying to make it to the door without saying anything to a bunch of reporters that are they're hugging her. I've never seen reporters dog so closely the person they're trying to get answers from. And she just doesn't say a word. She's just got this incredibly painful smile fixed on her face, as though by superglue. And the election results, I mean, people have been banging on and on about these, how the Tories really took a dive, and it was just a washout, and it was a disgraceful result, and so on. Not really. I mean, the Tories came third by a matter of 1,000 votes, not much. The Eastleigh by-election results of victory for Mike Thornton, who took 13,342 votes for the Lib Dems, 32% of the total. Still, no one can believe it. Diane James of UKIP, 11,571 votes, or 27.8% of the vote. And Maria Hutchings, the Conservative candidate, got 10,559 votes. See, there it is. There's 1,000 votes in it, between second and third place. So it wasn't a wipeout. They got 25% of the vote. 25% of the vote for a party that has been in power for a couple of years now is, and as you know, in economic circumstances that are disastrous and not necessarily completely of their own making, even though many people would say that they're not helping. But then look around. Even Germany is in dire straits. America owes, if you turn America over, stamped on the bottom it says property of China. That's how bad they are over there. Labour's John Farrell came a distant fourth. But that's not what anybody's saying. You see, now Labour should have got a bounce because they're not in power. They're the party of the I'm gonnas. You know, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and gosh, it would be better if we were in power. Please disregard everything that's happened over the last, 15 years or so. But even though we are, to a great extent, the same people, if we got back into power, then we'd really sort things out. Just pretend you haven't heard of Gordon Brown. So in opposition, you would think that they would be much more popular. They came fourth. But you won't have heard them much to speak of that on the news today, because everybody's concentrating on the Tories becoming third. And Maria Hutchings, by the way, once you've seen this video, you'll be interested in Maria Hutchings. You'll be interested in learning more, and I can help you there, because I looked up her Vote for Maria website, even though nobody did. Well, there you are. You see, I'm part of the problem. 10,500 people did, 25% of the turnout. Maria was awarded a place at London University to study a BA in... Have a wild stab in the dark. Go ahead and guess. I double dare you. Maria Hutchings, the failed Conservative candidate of the Eastleigh by-election, was awarded a place at London University to study a BA in dance and religion.
What?
I'm not making that up. Dance and religion. You wait till the new Pope finds out. I mean, there's two subjects that really shouldn't be on the same curriculum. Dance and religion? That's the silliest combination of subjects I've ever heard in my life. Dance and religion. That's what she was awarded a place at London University to study. But, however, she did not do that, because politics was too strong a pull, and she finally read and was awarded a BA Honours in Social Science and Public Administration. And I say again...
What?
Social Science and Public Administration. Have you ever heard anything more waffly than that? Other than perhaps what I did as to BA Honours standard, psychology. And the only thing that's more waffly than psychology is sociology. And possibly philosophy. She's worked in Malta. Oh, this is the part where it tells you more about Maria. More about the problem, that's Maria. She's worked in Malta, where she was a radio broadcaster.
Oh, no.
She's a DJ. Hey! She had a daily show for Malta's first English-speaking radio station. And currently she's working as a communications consultant in Eastleigh. What's a communications consultant? It says on the Vote for Maria website, Maria's main focus is listening to and serving the people of the Eastleigh constituency. And that's a very important sentence, the middle part of that. Listening to, not speaking. Because she's very, very good and famous now. She will be for the rest of her life. Famous for not speaking. She didn't say on her manifesto that she was going to be speaking. She just said she was going to be listening, and that's what she was doing. She was demonstrating her listening abilities by fielding a lot of questions, just not answering them, as she desperately tried to shuffle out the door. Funniest political video ever. Look it up on my Twitter page or my face space. Is Facebook. What was face space? What was the space thing?
Facebook.
No, what's the other one?
Twitter.
And the other one?
MySpace.
MySpace. Does that still exist?
Yeah, kind of.
It does?
Just for music.
MySpace. Yeah. Still going. Plucky little MySpace. Anybody got any shares in MySpace? Maria's main focus now is listening to and serving the people of the Eastleigh constituency. That's what the Vote for Maria website... I would have taken that down. That would have been my first order of business, is to take that down as soon as I lost. Because now that is not her main focus. Maria's spare time, it says on the World Wide Web, is spent with her family, walking, swimming, making music, and keeping a marine aquarium. Keeping stum, more like. Or as Maria would say... And that's a direct quote. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbot, LBC 97.3.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbot.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
The whole world's gone furious. An enormous number of people are tweeting and texting and emailing me and telling me I'm an idiot. Oh, thanks very much. They're pointing out that it's not on my Twitter page. Yes, it is. You're looking at the wrong Twitter page. Somebody else has got Nick Abbot. Very annoyingly, someone else has got Nick Abbot. As is the way with these things, you have to think of something else. So I put N.I. Abbot. That is my Twitter page. And my Facebook is, whatever it is. I can't remember. It's on the internet. Just ask the internet for it. It'll show you. Is Tunbridge Wells? Hello, Mark.
Good evening, Nick. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
I'm very low. I'm very depressed.
Depressed?
Yeah, by this by-election.
Are we on speakerphone?
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Oh, that's better. Sorry. Yeah, I just every night I listen to LBC, and my old favourite is Clive Ball. I love listening to Clive Ball and Anthony Davis, and of course you.
Yeah, whoever else happens to be on. Yeah, it sounds very indiscriminate. Your listening sounds indiscriminate, Mark. Just anybody that's on.
Anybody, mainly not you. Just you a couple of times a week if I have to.
Yeah. Well, I'm only on a couple of times a week.
Oh, yeah, cool, sorry.
Oh, yeah, there is that. You could put a barking dog on LBC late at night and you'd tune in, wouldn't you?
Open, say yes to Nick. Here, there you go. Yeah, do you know, my dog's got more intelligence than most of those people in Eastleigh. You think we live in the most sophisticated democracy in the world. Every night on LBC you hear people saying, we've got to pull out of bloody Europe, it's the bloody European, this, the bloody this, the bloody that. Every single person says the same thing. We've got to pull out of Europe. We've got to have a protest vote, and there you can actually say to people, there is your chance to have a protest vote. Actually vote for anybody, just anybody, apart from the status quo. And then you get the guy comes second, and they'll go, oh, this is bad for the Tories that they came third, and the guy came second. You go, no, you're supposed to vote in a really sophisticated democracy. When you've got 659 MPs, if you vote for just one, who could be the Adolf Hitler nutcase, stick us all in a bloody gas chamber party, you've only got to have one to say to the rest of the establishment, we are sick and tired of this rubbish. And people here can't even do that because they are...
Well, what are you saying that they should have voted for? Who are you saying that they should have voted for? Because I'm a little confused. UKIP, right. Well, I thought that you... All right. So you think that they should have voted for UKIP because you believe that people who call in a radio station and say we should get out of Europe are representative of the general population.
No,
is that your belief?
I'm just trying to say that we need someone... I think people are sick of the...
Sick and tired of being sick and tired, yeah.
Well, they're just sick and tired of lies and corruption. Like the Sun the other day. You see on the front page of the Sun the other day, Jason, I don't even watch telly anymore. I don't even know who Jason Manford is, but he's like, I don't know what he's done, some terrible thing. He's on the front page and think, if the Sun for the last 6 weeks have put, vote UKIP, vote UKIP, vote UKIP, vote UKIP, people would have voted for it. We need a protest vote. People don't vote for a protest vote, and then they phone up and say, or you talk to them in the street and they'll say, oh, what can we do? And you go, well, it's a democracy. Why don't you vote? Why don't you actually get a protest vote, a UKIP vote?
Well, it looks like exactly what happened. There was a protest vote, or so they're saying. I mean, the people in UKIP were trying to deny that was a protest vote, that it wasn't a negative vote for them. It was a positive vote for their policies. Do they have two?
Nobody remembers. In a competition, nobody remembers who came second. It's about who comes first, and it's the winner.
Well, no, it very much depends on how you define winner, because I think that even though the Liberal Democrats came first, I think the winner would be described as UKIP because they played out of their skins, 27% of the vote.
If every weekend you had your glamorous assistant, what's her face? She sounds like a really lovely lady. If she was presenting the show and you was just doing the odd bit there and then, slowly it would turn into her show, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be known as a Nick Abbott show. It would be known as your Glamour Assistant show. So if you're going to have a protest vote, you actually have to vote for that person. They then have to go to the House of Commons and then start coming out with the rhetoric that we all want these people to say. That person is now not going to go to the House of Commons, and instead of someone standing in the House of Commons saying, right, we're not going to do this with Europe, we're not going to do that, you actually have to, in a democracy, have that person.
But what you're saying is ridiculous. You're saying that in a democracy, what people should do is vote how you want them to vote. That's not a democracy.
No. I'm saying that in a democracy, if people want a protest vote...
Well, then obviously they did not want to vote. 27% of the population did, or maybe for a significant number of them, it wasn't a protest vote. It was a positive vote for UKIP. They weren't voting against the other parties. It wasn't a none of the above vote. They were voting for UKIP. But then you'd have to say that because they did so spectacularly well, so unusually well, that there was a large number of those people who did vote for them because it was the none of the above party.
You've actually got... Look, it's like if you're going to back a horse. You don't go in there and back a horse and say, I fancy the favourite, I fancy the favourite, I fancy the favourite. Oh no, I'm going to go for the third favourite, and then the favourite wins, and you say, oh, I'm really useless at this. I backed the third one. I was going to back the favourite, and go, yeah, that's why it's called gambling and odds. And so you actually have to pick one. And if you want those views to be heard in Parliament on Question Time, Prime Minister Question Time, a UKIP guy stands up and says, I think you're full of rubbish.
Right, well then, what does that tell you? What does the result tell you? That what you think is the commonly held view is not the commonly held view.
Well, obviously, if we need a protest vote, we're never going to get it because people don't actually understand that. You have to go around and say to your friends, I normally vote Conservative, but I think we should give them a bloody nose. Let's all vote for a protest candidate, and people don't do it because. Well,
what you're saying is that the British public are too stupid to be given the vote.
I think they'll eat horse meat, they'll buy farm-built cars, they've got about people on benefits, that they'll let us be run by corrupt people that don't pay taxes into our system, and then they'll say, I don't understand in politics. You go, well, there you are, just keep paying the taxes and shut up.
All right, thanks a lot, Mark. I'm not entirely sure what the point was that you were trying to make, but at least you made it over and over again. 0845 6060 973. Look at this, a tsunami of suggestions about what Wales has brought us on this auspicious day. It is St David's Day, and I've had 3 suggestions. Oh no, wait, 4. What has Wales given us? And I say this out of love and respect. I am, in fact, half Welsh. The half of me that is not Scottish. I'm half Welsh, half Scottish, 100% English. So, from given that those are my credentials, I'm asking you, what has Wales ever done for us? I'll start you off. Gareth Bale. Ryan Giggs, Shirley Bassey. There you go. That is a platform from which you can spring. This says, what has Wales given us? Richard Burton reading Under Milk Wood. Heaven. Desert island material, says Yvonne. Wales is not even on the Union flag, says Lucy. How is that answering the question? Wales, Scotland and Ireland have given us some of the best soldiers in the world, some who have died in our service. Well, how do you define best soldiers in the world? Well, let's not get into it, eh? And did the Welsh give us chicken and leek pie? I like that a lot, says Andy. We've got to be able to do better than that. That's embarrassing. It's St David's Day. What has Wales ever done for us? Meanwhile, here's a call in Stanmore. Hello, John.
Hello.
John.
I just wanted to correct some facts about this lady who said she was running the first English station in Malta.
What?
When you mentioned this candidate was running the first English radio station in Malta, she's a bit late because I was in 1960.
She worked in Malta, where she was a radio broadcaster. This is the losing Conservative candidate for the Eastleigh by-election, Maria Hutchings, worked in Malta, where she was a radio broadcaster. Hey!
Yeah, but she said she was the first English radio broadcaster.
Yeah, she was. She had a daily show for its first English-speaking radio station.
Well, that wasn't right, because I used to run Forces Broadcasting Service. I actually put it on the air in 1960.
Right. Well, maybe she worked for it.
Broadcasting station.
Maybe she worked for it.
I don't think she did in 1960.
Well, but what does it matter when she worked for it?
Well, she said it was the first one.
No, it was the first station.
Well, it wasn't, because mine was the first English broadcasting station.
But how do you know that she didn't subsequently work for it?
No, she didn't, because they closed it down when the English forces left Malta.
Right.
In the late 60s.
And what did you used to do for it?
Well, we only used to have 2 people on, in the station. There was an announcer and what we called a studio manager.
Well, it sounds exactly like the setup at LBC.
Yeah, and we used to run it. It was a sort of subsidiary of a very big broadcasting company, which I won't mention the name of because you don't like that, do you?
Oh, no, we don't like them.
No. But we used to relay programmes from London, and we also used to do our own programmes. And I was there when we actually put it on air. Benny Hill came out to open it. And we ran for quite a few years. A lot of my friends...
What was Benny Hill like?
Worked for Pardon?
What was Benny Hill like? Of course, he would have been on his best behaviour. I've got no idea.
Well, I did know Benny Hill because he was in Margate for many years doing a stage show, and he was Reg Varney's stooge, would you believe?
Reg Varney. Reg Varney. Benny Hill was Reg Varney's his boy. Really?
That's right.
Well, that doesn't sound right. It should have been the other way around.
No, not in those days. I mean, it's amazing. I have a sister who lives in San Francisco, and when Benny Hill comes on, because they still think he's great, and she says, "Oh, I used to know Benny," and they're absolutely amazed. So,
Benny Hill is still on television, just not in this country. Not for a long time. Not even on the satellite channels can you find Benny Hill.
No. But
He fell out of favour massively when the new wave of edgy comedians came in. They were alternative comics, by which I mean not funny. And suddenly it was verboten to show Benny Hill cavorting on, in his normal manner on television. And to this day, not seen since.
Well, I think his name will come up, but don't let's go into that. But there was a fantastic programme on television tonight.
What do you mean by that? Don't tell us. Yeah, John, do you take requests?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, OK. Call us back when I got more time. 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC973. And if you're looking for that video on my Twitter page, it's N.I. Abbott, not Nick Abbott. That's somebody else. As confusing as that sounds.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
I am not one of your fans!
Yeah, you think the political system in this country is all screwed up. Be happy. We could be America. The Republican Party, they're full of absolutely crazy people. They would rather the country sank. They would if it were a ship, they'd be deliberately holing it just because they didn't like the captain. Idiots. Ever since they didn't manage to buy the last election, just like they didn't manage it last time.
Absolutely.
They've been spitting their solid gold dummies and whining like children. Wah! Like that. So, yeah, just be grateful that we're not... we could be Italy. Shepperton, hello, Mark.
Hello, Nick. Good morning.
Morning. It's, what?
Almost.
It's St. David's Day, and I've been asking what has Wales ever done for us?
Right, small list for you.
Yes.
Welsh gold makes the rings for the royal family, wedding rings, etc. Many a roof over our heads for the Welsh slate.
Welsh slate.
Welsh
slate is very, very expensive. Anybody bought slate lately, the chances are you probably bought Chinese slate, because it looks almost the same and costs a fraction of the price.
Many a school children who learned to write on the slate in the classroom before books were even thought of. Many a fire in the home that was heated by the coal that came from the mines in the Welsh valleys.
Yeah.
Many a Welsh voice choir, the men's choirs, who were world-renowned singers.
Oh, there's lovely.
Never mind the operatic singers.
Yeah, never mind them.
There was yes, never mind them. You're quite right. Sir Harry Seacombe, Max Boyce. So there's a few just to chew on for the time being until I can think of some more later on for you.
Excellent work. Whereabouts in Wales are you from, Mark?
I'm not.
Oh. Yeah, it took an Englishman to come up with a good list to start us off on what Wales has done for us. That is weak. Good work, though. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, Nick. All the best.
0845 6060 973. What do the Eastleigh results tell us? No one cares. I'm amazed. You know, if you pick up your newspaper today, it's absolutely chock full of this stuff, and I think the only people who are remotely interested are journalists and people who work in politics, politicians. The village of Westminster. They think that the entire world revolves around them. Nobody else cares. No one cares. There's people who are single-issue worriers, who will call up radio stations and say, oh, you know, it's whatever it is, Europe. Oh, everything's Europe's fault. You can't find straight bananas these days, it's Europe's fault. Or my cucumber's too small, it's Europe's fault. Or my car tyres have deflated since I pumped them up last, it's Europe's fault. They just have this vague ire against, well, anybody that's not from here, foreigners. I bet even the Welsh would fit. Everything is Europe's fault. So there's those people, and then there's other single-issue worriers, like, you know, there's too many rubbish bins. I have to fill too many rubbish bins. I can't stand it anymore. That's probably Europe's fault, too. Oh, did you see this thing a little while ago? Just as a tangent, this is one of the 86 stories that I've been carrying around with me for a while. Millions of tons of rubbish, carefully sorted by families for recycling, has been buried in landfill. You know, all that recycling, all of that, you've got to put your cans in one thing and your papers in another, and all that. And in the back of your mind, you thought, they're just going to chuck it in a big hole. I know they are. That's exactly what they've been doing. After years of denials, officials admitted that much of the waste that councils claim to have recycled is turned away from depots and chucked in a big hole in the ground. A paper from the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs revealed that most managers at plants that recycle rubbish for industrial use say that at best, some, and in other cases hardly any, of the waste sent to them is usable. Now, why would that be? Is it because people at home don't know what, can't sort rubbish? Like babies can't put a square peg in a round hole. The news confirms the fears of many householders forced to comply with fortnightly collection rules and bin police regulations that the painstaking recycling process ends when the dustmen have finished their round. Many families must now sort their rubbish into several different bins, and official figures show 43% of household waste is now recycled. Official figures. Well, let's take official figures with a pinch of salt. Let's take official figures with an entire bin bag full of salt. They're no more valuable than the recycled paper they're printed on. Official figures. It's emerged that the level of rubbish that's recycled has been exaggerated. Can you believe that?
Yes.
They've exaggerated the situation in order to make the government look better. I'm stunned. This admission comes in a quality action plan from... action plan. I bet that was thought up by a man in action slacks. Available in elasticated waist sizes up to 50. A quality action plan from DEFRA, the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, which is under the control of the Environment Secretary, the invisible and unreassuring Owen Paterson. Oh, that should have been a pop quiz. Environment Secretary. Anybody? Anybody at all? Hands up at the back there. No, Owen Paterson. The document says current recycling rates are likely to be overestimates, as many do not account for material rejected by the MRF, the Materials Recovery Facility. Wow, there's an organisation you don't want to be a secretary for. Every 10 seconds you're lifting up the phone saying, Materials Recovery Facility, how may I direct your call? Well, isn't that unsurprising? All of that careful recycling you do is for naught, because they're just chucking it in a great hole in the ground. Croydon, I expect. MRF's materials recovery facilities divide materials from household recycling bins into paper, metal, plastic and so on. Material is then sent from the MRFs to reprocessing plants, which turn waste material into usable products, like beef burgers. However, these materials are also often inadequate. 60% of reprocessing managers say that only some or hardly any of the material they are sent is good enough to use. What is the point? Well, the point is to collate a lot of statistics to make it look as though the government is actually doing something. I expect it's Europe's fault. 3/4 of the processing plants added that recycling material delivered by councils is full of worse quality than that from other suppliers. Rejected material is often sent to landfill. So you'd have to say that that's our fault then. We don't know how to recycle. We can't put a tin in a box for tins or paper in the correct receptacle. Come on, people, stick it up the correct receptacle. The DEFRA document says that if it transpires that material collected for recycling is sent to landfill or illegally exported, this can undermine confidence and damage efforts to increase recycling. Do you think?
Correct.
Yeah, undermine confidence. Anybody have any confidence in the system? The a spokesperson for the Campaign for Weekly Waste Collections called, and I am not making this up, Doretta Cox, said, "The more you make people obey complicated rules, the more likely they are to put out contaminated recycling," which is not obeying the rules. So it seems like we're deliberately doing out of spite. Or the people of Great Britain can't tell the difference between metal and plastic. We are so stupid. On the other hand, there was this story about a grandmother called Veronica. Oh, you're feeling positively about her already, I bet. She has to accommodate, for her recycling, 10 different bags, bins and boxes. 10. 10? Where does she keep them all? I just put everything in the bin. You remember when you used to be able to put things in the bin? That's what I do. I just put it in the bin. When it's full, I take it out to the rubbish and leave it there. And then magically it disappears. Grandmother Veronica has to accommodate 10 different bags, bins and boxes to recycle everything from tea bags to light bulbs. The 65-year-old has to use a traditional grey wheelie bin for household waste and a green bin for garden waste and a black box for mixed glass, tins, aerosol and tinfoil. There's a blue bag for cardboard and a blue box for paper and magazines. A small kitchen slop bucket is supposed to be emptied into a larger outdoor green bin. Plastic bottles must be placed in an orange drawstring bag, while old batteries and any energy-efficient light bulbs need to be separated into small, identical, clear polythene bags supplied by the council. And then they just throw the whole lot off a barge into the sea. I made that last part up. Or did I? Poor Veronica. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
Thank you.
0845 6060 973. This is Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3. There was an extraordinary result at the Eastleigh by-election. Nick Clegg actually had some good news. Can you believe that?
No.
UKIP came second, and that's the major story. They are the major winners. No one can really get their heads around that. 27.8% of the vote. Eastleigh. I bet my unglamorous standing assistant wants to find out anything he can about Eastleigh. Maria Hutchings, the completely silent, constantly smiling Maria Hutchins, got 25% of the vote. So it wasn't a washout. You know, it was there or thereabouts. There was 7%... between the top three parties. Labour, meanwhile... Wow. Now, you'd think that Labour would have done better. What? Eastleigh? I don't know anything about Eastleigh. Here it is. Eastleigh is a railway town in Hampshire. Oh, well, that's why they didn't do any very well. It's probably where old people go to expire. Am I right? The town lies between Southampton and Winchester. There you are, you see. It's part of the South Hampshire conurbation. Eastleigh Borough stretches from Netley, there's no such place. It's near the historic river villages of Hamble-le-Rice. Oh, blimey! I'm stunned that the Conservatives did so badly. It's got the word "le" in it. Also, Burlesdon and Botley, which sounds very Yorkshirish. Netley and Botley. Etc. and so on. The town lies on the River Itchen. All this water's making me itch. Itchen. What do they do there, though? Itchen in the kitchen. Sport, politics, economy. Here we go. The B&Q head office. The B&Q head office is there, and it also used to be home to Mr. Kipling. Mr. Kipling makes... Here's Wallington. Hello, Joan.
Hello, Nick.
Joan.
We know perfectly well. I'm very, very excited about the results of yesterday.
I know perfectly well.
Well, I've been nagging on about UKIP for years.
Hey, did Benny Hill come from Eastleigh? Did Benny Hill come from Eastleigh?
I don't know.
Benny Hill came from Eastleigh. Benny Hill, Heinz Burt, a pop musician, Sir Arthur Young, and Christabel Leighton Porter. I've no idea who that is. And Vince Hawkins, a boxer. Benny Hill came from Eastleigh. The most prestigious name from Colin Firth as well.
I don't think that's got anything to do with anything.
It's very important, Joan.
It is not.
These are facts.
Oh, a fact. One of those things that you only rarely come across those, don't you?
And there's an Australian politician called Giz Watson, G-I-Z. First name, G-I-Z.
Correct.
Giz.
What's that short for?
I wouldn't like to think.
Is that a female or a male? Is it?
Well, hang on there,
it could be short.
Hang on there, and I'll check. I'll just roll my shirt sleeves up.
It could be short for Giselle, couldn't it?
Yeah, but if you had a name as delightful to the ear as Giselle, you wouldn't shorten it to Giz, would you?
You might not like Giselle. You might think, oh, it's a bit girly. You know, I don't want to be someone important and called Giselle.
Giselle.
No, you wouldn't want that.
But not Giz, though. Giz sounds... I don't know, it sounds...
Giz. Is it Giz or is it Jizz? You see if it's got an eye.
Do you mind if we say Giz, Joan?
Oh,
just for the purposes of this show. Even if it is the other way of pronouncing it, can we just say Giz?
All right.
Giz a break.
And if a town has got a L in it, between two words, well, I
Tory
think
Heartland.
The French have been plundering it at some point in history, haven't they? That's what's happened. But no, if it hadn't been for the fact that I've been a bit ill.
Oh, what's been the matter with you? Gastroenteritis? You want to join the queue for the NHS like the Queen? Oh, no, that's right. She went straight to the front. Straight to the front of the line. No waiting for Her Majesty the Queen.
Well, I'm sure she's probably quite happy in this cold weather to be not going out and standing around somewhere in Wales.
Yeah. That is her job, though.
Well, well, maybe she just didn't feel like it.
No, well, who would? Yeah. I mean, I wonder if the Queen just gets up one day and thinks, you know what?
Did you ever sing in a male voice choir? Because they're great, aren't they?
Well, at school, I did cheat my way into a choir, yes.
Oh, how do you cheat into a choir?
Because,
you stand behind the boy with the
I think
good
we were
voice.
about 8 or 9, something like that, and the prize was that we were all going to, I think it was the Royal Albert Hall. We were all going to the Royal Albert Hall. There must have been some big school's choir thing. And so, in order to be selected, Joan, we had to, as a class, sit at our tiny little desks and sing our hearts out. And the teacher would come around, like one after the other, and she'd put her head down and listen to each individual child as he or she gave of her best. And the ones that she liked, she tapped on their heads when such things were still legal.
Yes.
And at the end of this little process, she stood at the front and said, right, everybody who had a tap on the head, stand up now. And I, being a wily child, had determined that she was tapping the heads of the best singers. Now, my head had not been tapped, Joan, and yet, baldly, I stood up and went along on the trip.
Oh, it must have meant a lot to you. Was it a good trip?
I remember nothing about it, other than that I shouldn't have been there.
Now you're guilty. Yeah. Now you're guilty.
No, I've always been guilty. It's just now I'm spilling my guts.
You need a confessional, don't you, really?
Don't bring that into it.
No.
I've had plenty of that this week. Plenty enough for the rest of my life.
I really was so keen about Eastleigh because, you know, it's been like those salmon that come in from the ocean, you know, once a year, and they go to this very fast-flowing downstream.
No, upstream.
No, the water is going downstream.
Yeah.
The salmon are going upstream.
Yeah.
And you keep going and going and going, and you think, I'm never going to get anywhere with this. And then Eastleigh comes along, and you think, hey, I think it's possible.
Yeah. Well, they still lost.
I know.
Can you believe that they lost to the Liberal Democrats, as unpopular as we are being led to believe that they are? Poor Nick.
I don't understand that, to tell you the truth.
Well, nobody does. Nobody can really get their heads around it. The Liberal Democrats got 32% of the vote. 32% of the vote.
Do you think they're feeling sorry for Nick now?
Well, not now. No, they've never
No, I
been so
mean,
happy.
up
They're
to the-
clutching themselves.
No,
They're
I mean-
actually clutching each other.
What I meant
with
was
happiness.
just before the election. They must have just thought, give him a break.
What,
He's
the
a poor
voters?
soul.
Nonsense.
Do you not think
Voters
so?
are not like that.
Oh.
It wasn't actually a bad turnout. It was over half of those eligible to vote actually did vote, which is, I think, nobody's really mentioned that. I think that's an extraordinary turnout. 52% of those able to say so said so.
That was pretty good.
And maybe that's what. Maybe that high turnout was all of the UKIP people who decided, as one, right, this we're really going to do it now. Whereas if it had been 100% turnout, you'd have to guess that UKIP would not have got 27%.
Oh well, I got fed up going around doors and saying to people, "Yeah, you think it's all everything we say you think is right." They say, yes, you're absolutely right. And I say, so would you vote? And they say, oh no, because. It'd be a wasted vote. You'd not get in.
So, in other words, you're canvassing for UKIP. Or not in other words, those words. You were canvassing for UKIP.
I have done. I haven't been lately, but I have done.
You know, there was an Elvis party that got 72 votes. What about them? You could have canvassed for the Looney Party, Joan. They got 136 votes.
I see, yes. Well, what party did you vote for then?
Well, I didn't. I don't live in Eastleigh.
No, but I mean, would you, if you could, and what would you have done?
I would vote for the Nazi Party. They do a lot of good work. Trains running on time, that sort of thing. They're vegetarian.
They're not, are they?
Hitler was vegetarian.
Oh, along with everything else.
What do you mean, along with everything else?
He had a lot of everything else, didn't he? He had a few quirks.
Well, that's... I've never heard it described that way, but yes, you could say that. He had quirks, yeah. He had issues.
Issues, that's what we mean. So, were you pleased that UKIP got where it did?
No, I'm not pleased at all. I don't...
No, you could be a bit pleased, couldn't you?
Well, I'm not remotely pleased. There's just something about... there's almost no politician that I feel positively towards, but I feel... something about Nigel Farage, and it's not just the name. It's not just the name that has got one of those vowels in the middle that makes it almost impossible to stop saying the word. Nigel Farage.
Yeah, but I don't
could go
say
on forever.
that. I've never said that. I say Farage.
Farage.
No, Farage.
Why is it Nigel Farage?
I didn't say Farage. I said Farage.
That's what I'm going to be calling Farage. That's even worse than Farage.
Dear me. Is it that?
Farage. His name is... Man can't even pronounce his own name. Nigel Farage. First of all, he's called Nigel, which is a big black mark against you.
All right. Well, whatever he does, he has done an awful lot for the party. He has moved it on. He is believable. I mean, I'm not going to look into this wonderful future and say, oh, that's all right then. Next year, we're all going to be out of Europe and it's all going to be great. You know, you can't do that. But you can when you really believe that something should happen. And the only person that's doing it is UKIP. Then, you know, you're a bit pleased.
But once but once you're out of Europe, it's never going to happen. But once in your imaginings we're out of Europe, then what? It seems like that's all they got. Then what?
Yeah, well, at least we would be our own country instead of being ruled by somebody.
Europe. Yeah.
Well, I once said to one of my relatives, 12-year-old, and I said, look, if it was going to be really, really good, and we're going to be doing very well economically, and we were run by another country, or if we weren't doing as well as that, and it was tough going, but we were running ourselves, which would you rather have? What do you think he said? Can you please repeat the question, is probably what he said.
How old was he?
12.
Joan, 12. That amounts to torture.
He said, no, he said, of course I wouldn't want to know.
Shut up, Granny, and make me my tea. Something like that.
Well, immediately he said, I'd rather run our own country, even if it was tough going.
Okay, well...
And he was only 12, but he knew his mind.
No, he knew your mind.
No, he
Yes, he did. He was just spouting back what the propaganda that you've been feeding him. I'm calling social services. Anyway, thanks a lot, Joan. It's been inspirational, as always. Cheers, my dear. 0845 6060 973. Can you believe that the Beer Party actually polled almost twice as many votes as the Looney Party? in the Eastleigh by-election. 235 votes for the beer party. And the Christian party only just pipped the loony party. I just passed that on as a piece of, as a nugget of information. The Peace Party got 128 votes. Elvis got 72 votes. English Democrats, I've got no idea. TUSC, what are they? There's a fellow called Daz, who represented the TUSC party. I don't even know what they are. And a fellow called Colin represented what's called Reg. And I don't... Some of this is very, very confusing. But mostly it's confusing that UKIP got 27.8% of the vote. But then I think that the figure for the turnout may be an indicator of how that happened, because the turnout was a whopping 52%, which is huge for a by-election on a cold day. So maybe it was so big because all of the people that voted UKIP would ordinarily, it's a disproportionate number of people came out to vote for UKIP because they were, they had the impetus to do it. There was a reason for them to do it, whereas the Labour and the Conservatives, I'm sure they had, something important to watch on television. Didn't really matter to them that much, but UKIP, it mattered to them a lot. And maybe that's the reason that the turnout was 52%. Has anybody mentioned that? You heard it here first on the Nicky Abbott Show. 0845 6060 973. This is LBC 97.3. The time 11:30.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Here are the studio calls flashing up on the indicator.
Yeah, just before I take another studio call that is flashing up on the indicator, let me just read some texts and emails. On the subject of Wales, it's St. David's Day. And in celebration of that, people will be, having a nice cup of tea all weekend long in Wales. And my question is, what has Wales ever done for us? And suggestions there are many. Tom Jones, the Valleys, Wellies. Wellington boots were a Welsh invention. And sheep. Hi, Nick. Wales has given us Tom Jones, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Charlotte Church. Wales has given us a football team that England can beat all the time, says Ted. That is true. We are absolutely guaranteed. I mean, if we lose to Wales, that would be surprising. That would be eyebrow-raising, to say the least. I mean, if we lose to Scotland, then that would be embarrassing. But if we lose to Wales, then I think Group Harry Kiri would be in order. Why is Gareth... You know what? Gareth Bale could play for England from now until the end of time, and you could have said the same for Ryan Giggs. Why didn't they just pretend? Didn't they have the opportunity? Both of them, didn't they both have the opportunity to play for England because of like bits of their family were from England? Why didn't they do that? But it's like the. It's like a protest vote. It's like voting for the Looney Party in the Eastleigh by-election. It's a throwaway vote. It's a wasted vote. And playing for Wales when you could have played for England is wasted, isn't it? Or am I being unkind? Wales gave us Anthony Hopkins, says Vern. Wales gave us furry red dragons. I've got a family of 3 plus a pair of dragon slippers. I don't know what that means. Wales has given us plenty of rugby brilliance, e.g. Phil Bennett, Gareth Davis and J.P.R. Williams. I have no idea who any of those people are. Rugby always looks to me like a steroid convention. None of those people who play rugby appear to come in human size. And I'm not referring, by the way, to any of the names that I've just mentioned. Wales gave us Prince Charles and the Victoria Sponge, says George. Well, not really. No. He is the Prince of Wales, but I don't think there's like an ounce of Welsh in him, is there? Wales didn't give us Prince Charles. I think we gave Prince Charles Wales. I think that's the way around it is. Let's take a call in Blackheath. Hello, Kathy.
Hi.
Kathy.
Oh, hi, is that Nick?
It is Nick. Is that you, Kathy?
Yes, it is. Sorry, I was in another world. Sorry, I was just thinking about something else. Sorry, Nick.
Well, what were you thinking of?
I just want to say I was absolutely elated to think that UKIP come second. I wish they come first, but they came second, and that's brilliant.
For what reason is that brilliant?
Well, it's because of getting out of Europe. It's the fact being that when we were taken into Europe or down that pathway, you must excuse me, I've got a cold.
Oh, poor baby. What are you taking for it?
No. I've got no TLC here.
I could go for a couple of pints of TLC myself.
But I'm just trying to take some medicine, that's all. Anyhow, getting back to my point, David Cameron promised, number one, that he would give the British people, before he got elected, a referendum, being that Tony Blair and Gordon Brown took us down this road through... I didn't ask to go down and to sign up to the EU. Apparently there's hundreds and hundreds of, human rights laws. I haven't got a clue what they are.
Yeah, but they're human rights. You want to take rights away from humans?
What, the stupid ones?
Well, that's an outrageous thing to say, stupid ones.
Well, the stupid ones like and the infuriating ones.
It very much depends on whether it is you that is subject to the law. You wouldn't think it's stupid if it was standing up for you, Kathy.
Well, Mr. Cameron did not stand by his convictions, and shame on him. I used to always vote Conservative, and I've completely now lost my trust in him because his word isn't his bond.
Well, he's a politician, of course. Oh, you didn't really expect that politicians would
Yes,
be telling
I do.
you. What?
Yes, I do, because that's what I put my cross for. Yes, I did. I did believe him. And he promised on the Nick Ferrari show. All right, you're laughing, but it's the truth. He promised that if he was elected, that he would give the British people a chance of getting in or out of the EU, and he did not stand by his convictions.
Well, that's because he couldn't be he couldn't be sure that the British people would. He couldn't be sure that the British people would make the right decision by him.
Well, who's he to say? Why not? Well, we voted him in because we believed him.
But the thing is, you can't. You vote. Well, I suppose so, but you can't pick and choose.
So in other words, Nick, he's lying to us, or he hasn't got no backbone.
I think
he should have stood by his convictions.
I think lying is.
It was lies.
It's a bit strong.
Well, why don't he stand up and say what he said then, and say why isn't he retracting?
Yeah. Well, we can't say liar.
Liar!
We can't say
liar.
Liar.
Well, he's told Porky Pies.
I'm not a witch. I'm your wife.
What?
Well, I've completely lost faith in him. I've got no trust in him now, and I will go with UKIP. And when the general election comes up, I will be putting my cross on that piece of paper because I want the choice. I haven't got a clue. What the hell has David, as Tony Blair or Gordon Brown signed us up to? I haven't got a clue.
No, well, see, and that seems to be the bizarre thing about this argument. Nobody really seems to have any idea, other than that they don't like it, and they don't like it for amorphous, completely undefined reasons. That's what the bizarre thing about this. This is why I don't like talking about Europe, is because you don't get any concrete arguments for anybody. It's just this vague they've they come over here and they jumble up our change. Can't find anything. It's Europe. It's just absolute mad. Oh, they come over here and they stand up for people's rights. Right? You know who is on the side of bankers and who is against bankers? Our politicians in this country standing up for bankers as though their very livelihoods depend on it, which they probably do. Europe, on the other hand, is aiming to give them, it amounts to not much, but a bit of a bloody nose. And we've got our lot queuing up in order to defend bankers. Well, on this issue, I'm with Europe. And on many other issues as well. I mean, some of the daft things that we have that make laws in this country that have to be corrected by the legal beagles in Europe, and you could say the reverse is also true. Europe doesn't have the answers to the correct answers to everything, and neither does our lot. Sometimes our lot have to be corrected, and sometimes their lot have to be. And like I said, I just hate talking about this issue because you just get call after call saying, well, it's all about bleeding Europe, isn't it? Yes, and? Here's a call in Watford. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Nick.
Dave.
Yeah, I just, you kind of echoed what I was thinking, actually. I think there's an awful lot of, and as you just said, I don't want to go on any more about it, but I think, that obviously, the main reason I think people are up in arms is that there's a lot of concern about the other member states that are going to be joining and at the end of this year. But I can't believe there isn't some chance of legislation that can be tweaked. They usually manage to do it to put a curb on that. But to say, we need to get out of Europe, and I don't think people realise, like you're saying, in a lot of ways, thank goodness we're in Europe, because otherwise there'd be no safety net. And
well, it's the biggest trading bloc in the world. It doesn't seem to make much sense to want to flee it, particularly as anybody that knows anything about economics appears to be wanting us to stay. I mean, you talk about people in the finance racket, they want us to stay. People in manufacturing want us to stay. The leaders of FTSE 100 companies want us to stay in. It's just that... And the arguments against, they just seem so nefarious and so ill-formed and so confused. And you ask people why they want out of Europe, and they say, well, it's because... and then they start to fall down. Why? Because we read it in the Mail.
Yeah, I think this is what I think. I think it's obviously a concerted campaign to sort of demonise Europe, and of course we all know, what will happen if that ever did happen. We'd become, even more so the 51st state of the United States. So is that any better? It's probably not, actually. So, I totally agree with, the other side of it. I think there's a lot of ignorance. People don't know what it's like. Turkey's voting for Christmas, voting to come out of Europe. They protect our, they do more than the national government to protect our health. They've got levelled fines against the government for. You were talking about recycling earlier, and that's just one element. And the worrying thing is that people just seem totally disconnected with their own health, their own environment. And I think there was a report out this week that said people, I suppose, really, why would you care about your own health when you've got the Basildon by-election? Do you know what I mean? Or when you've got whoever it is.
What's your health got to do with it?
Well, these are the sort of things that being in Europe is actually a good thing. It's actually to safeguard your health. Things like the air pollution.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, there is a lot of regulation coming from Europe, which puts a lot of people's backs up. But it's actually trying to. It's regulation that's trying to protect you.
Absolutely. This is it. I think there's a lot of clarification, and there's only one side of the story people are being fed at the moment, which is the business about, what it's more to do with our foreign policy, I think. But I just can't believe that, being in Europe or not, the government don't have some sort of control. It's up to them to impose, more on the
other countries seem to be able to pick and choose which missives from Europe they do and do not follow. I think that politicians it's a perfect shield for politicians to say, I would like to have done what I said I was going to do before you voted for me, but I can't because Europe won't let me. Yeah. It's just a convenient screen behind which to hide. That probably is one of the reasons that the politicians all, as one, apart from UKIP, seem to be very keen on it. But please don't lead me down talking about Europe for the rest of this show, because I couldn't stand it. We call after call saying, well, they come over here, they tell us about, we've got to straighten our bananas and...
I know.
Regulations about dog barking, it's a blooming disgrace.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's just been...
On the other hand, Dave, I would say that another level of bureaucracy is the last thing that anybody needs, which is what Europe actually represents. So if we could just strip out 90% of management in politics in general, then I think What we need is a benign dictatorship. I'll do it.
Well, that was a pledge, wasn't it, to actually reduce? I thought they were talking about this. The number of MPs and the number of
Never happen.
Mandarins. Never one of these things that never happened. And the business about recycling is just scandalous. I didn't quite. I heard you talking about it earlier. I didn't hear what the report, the source of it was. But these people are paid money to deal with our waste, and there's loads of bumps being put through. Every door.
Loads of what?
Information that's been put through every sort of post box in the country saying, flying the flag for green issues and how the recycling rate.
You know how many
up.
trees they had to cut down to produce those leaflets?
Defeats the object of the exercise, doesn't it, really? Don't tell you that bit. Well, I hope it was printed on 100%.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, yeah.
Of course that...
But apparently the reason that our recycled rubbish is being rejected at these recycling plants must be because we are not recycling our rubbish correctly.
Well, there's inverted commas. I mean, I often wonder, really, I can't believe when the stuff is... I mean, some of the rubbish these days is when people just mix it all up. I can't believe that they've actually got the technology in this country to actually separate it. I mean,
we're supposed to separate it.
Well, at some places you do, but in some areas you just mix it all up.
Yeah, well, that's what I do. I just mix it all up. I'm old school. I just put it in the bin. Whatever it is, it goes in the bin.
But you're told here. I've seen them collect these things, and whereas originally there was one box, that now in certain boroughs like Harrow, all the stuff that they say just put it all together in the blue stuff that can be
and then they
recycled.
chuck it in the Thames. That may not be true.
What is the point of that? And I can't believe that in the days when it was segregated, I can believe they recycled it, but I can't believe we have the technology here to separate cardboard from metal.
That's right. They squash it down until it's nice and firm. They cut it into circles and then stick it between two buns and sell it as a hamburger. So yummy.
Cheaper than horse meat, isn't it?
It's certainly, and more nutritious too.
Absolutely.
Mystery meat. Listen, Dave, I'm past a break, so I'm going to have to go, but thanks a lot. Ta-ra, 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Hello. 0845 6060 973. It's St. David's weekend. Celebration's probably going on all weekend. I don't actually know what they do. I know what they do for St. Patrick's Day, because the whole world has caught that disease. But St. David's Day, I really don't know what goes on there. But one of the questions that I've been asking, and can run for the next hour as well, because like I said, the celebrations will go on all weekend, however they manifest themselves. What has Wales ever done for us? And in answer to that, here's a call in Fitzrovia. Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Paul.
Dylan Thomas, of course, and a unique kind of harp with 3 rows of strings.
3 rows of strings?
Yeah.
What's that called?
It's called a Welsh harp.
I knew you were going to say that. I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah. Well, it's real, I promise you.
A Welsh harp. Just 3 strings?
No, 3 rows of strings.
3 rows of strings.
1 each side and 1 in the middle.
That sounds like 3.
That's right.
3 strings.
No, 3 rows of strings. Like a harp has got a row of strings.
Yeah.
A Welsh harp has got 3 rows of strings.
Well, how do you play the middle one?
You don't. It vibrates in sympathy with the other 2.
In sympathy?
Yeah.
Right. And if the other 2 refuse to play, then the middle one refuses in sympathy.
That's right. Yeah.
A Welsh harp with 3 rows of strings, the middle of which is redundant.
No, it
on
vibrates
strike.
in sympathy.
I've never heard of such a thing, Paul. You're making it up.
Excuse me. You can do this with any stringed instrument that you have. If you or a friend of yours has a guitar, pluck 1 string and then stop it, and you'll hear the other 5 vibrating very quietly.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Yes, I promise you.
And how does it sound?
Lovely.
Right.
Sounds like a harp, only fuller and more complex.
Yeah, bigger. Turned up to 11.
Rock and roll!
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for the good news, Paul. A stringed rows of whatever he said, and Dylan Thomas. The only thing that Wales has given us is Port Merion, where The Prisoner was filmed, says this message. Wales has given us a huge amount of leaks, says Miriam. We should thank Wales for the Electric Mountain, the hydroelectric power station inside Elida 4 Mountain. It responds to sudden power demands and supplies electricity to the whole of England, for example, when everyone puts the kettle on during ad breaks in popular TV shows, says Nicola in Romford. There are no popular TV shows anymore, Nicola. That has long gone. The next one we can expect will be the World Cup. I mean, people aren't going to be rushing to put the tea on at the same time during the Winter Olympics, are they?
Negative.
Here is Whetstone. Hello, Laura.
Hello.
Laura.
Going back to the Eastleigh by-election,
yeah.
I heard someone in LBC say before the actual by-election that when Chris Hume was the MP there, he ran a very, very tight and well-oiled ship. And I just wanted to make the point, I think that's why they got in. But they did so well. Okay. That was all.
But what does that mean, though, a well-oiled ship?
Well, a very tight group of people ran the Lib Dems in Eastleigh when Chris Hume was the MP,
yeah.
And I think they got all the people to vote. That's all the point I was making.
So you weren't saying that they'd done such an excellent job that nobody wanted to change them. People thought, well, we better keep with the Lib Dems because they are superb at local issues.
They were persuaded by this team in Eastleigh, from what I could tell. Someone who knew about this did say this on LBC before the actual election. So I think that's one of the reasons that they did well.
Well, the only time I've ever voted Conservative was in a local council election because I like the way that they treat the green areas around me. I think that they do an excellent job of maintaining the parks and so on. So I thought, well, I bet if you change councils, they might not have the same attitude to green spaces, and they might let it go to rack and ruin. So I thought, well, I'll go against a lifetime of voting in other ways, and I'll stick with the Tories. So that's what I did for the first and probably only time in my life. I voted Conservative, Laura, because I like flowers. You like flowers?
But you can imagine these people in Eastleigh, a very well-run ship, do you know what I mean? That they would absolutely pull everyone in. And, it's interesting to see what happens next time, but I think that's why they did so well.
Well, there was a was a surprisingly large turnout, 52%.
Yeah.
Which is big for a by-election.
Yeah.
On a cold day.
Well, I mean, someone who really knew about it did say that earlier in the week, so... That's, I think, yeah.
Someone who really knew about it?
Well, I don't know. I can't remember who it was, but I do remember. I think he was in politics.
Right, but because you heard it on LBC, then you expect that he must have known what he was talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is that the way you think of when you hear me?
Well...
Not so much.
Yeah. In a way.
Well, thanks very much, Laura.
Well, I haven't phoned you before, so it's the first time.
Okay, well, haven't I been lucky? Thanks a lot, my dear. Okay. 0845 6... What a nice lady. Yeah. 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. The entirely reliable and believable Nick Abbott on LBC 97.3. What has Wales ever done for us on their special weekend? What does the Eastleigh by-election tell us, if anything? These and other important issues we will be dealing with after the new news, which approaches at speed.
LBC 97.3 Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Now everybody's happy.
Absolutely no one is happy.
Absolutely.
Particularly the American citizenry, whose politicians appear to be collectively stupid. On the subject of Wales, what has Wales ever done for us, it being their big weekend? Nick, Henry VII was from Wales. He was the father of Henry VIII, grandfather of Elizabeth I, our Queen, is a direct descendant, hence the royal family's Welsh connection, says Martin in Pimlico. Wow, this shows like a history education, ain't it?
No.
Nick, Wales has given us Dylan Thomas, Richard Burton and leaks. That seems to be the theme. That's all anybody can think about. Dylan Thomas, Richard Burton and leaks. Is that it? Nick, Wales has given us Neil Kinnock. But I'm sure there were some good things too, says that message. And another thing that Wales has given to the world is the NHS. Aneurin Bevan being the chief architect of the NHS. Enfield, hello Tony.
Hello Nick.
Tony.
Yes, I think we can contribute the United Kingdom to Wales. It was the Welsh that we owe the United Kingdom. But this question on Europe and getting out.
Why do we owe that to the Welsh?
Well, it was the Welsh that put the United Kingdom together. Scotland, England, and Wales. It was down to the Welsh.
How?
Well, just the main reason why I phoned up is on Europe and not going back to the history of Wales, but it is the Welsh.
You said it.
I know, but you proved me wrong. You got enough experts and researchers in your studio. But Nick, this Europe thing that we hear, I'm sick of it. Look, if you look at the map, and I know Jones is very anti-Europe, we are a part of Europe. We built a tunnel to marry up to France. If we left Europe, we'd be ridiculed, sidelined. There'd be massive tax tariffs on our exports into Europe. It's not gonna happen. And to get out of Europe, you'd have to disinvent money and profit, freedom of movement, exchange of goods and services.
What?
And isn't Europe a beautiful
You'd have to
continent?
disinvent money and profit.
Yes, and then we could get out of Europe, because that's what it's all about. Look,
What are you talking about? We'd have to disinvent money and profit.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That's what Europe's all about.
See, this is part of what I'm talking about. Like, bizarre arguments, unformed thoughts, either pro or against. Nobody has any idea what they're talking about, Tony.
Well, Nick, look, I'm British European. If you stop me in the street and says we're doing a survey on people's, I'd say I'm British European. I'm proud to be born in London, and I'm a part of Europe. But to talk about getting out of Europe, not even the MPs have read the Maastricht Treaty, and they want Joe Bloggs on the streets to vote to get out of Europe. It's nonsense. Lord Digby used to be the director of the CBI. He says the foreign workers in this country from the European Union contributes £40 billion a year into the inland revenue. You know, they do jobs, they get paid a few coppers over and above the minimum wage, and they obviously boost the profits of these companies by doing
Crucially, Tony, what they do is jobs that we don't want to.
Well, that's right.
Every time you come up against a foreign worker, they are almost certainly doing a job that we don't want to do.
And, of course, if they returned to their countries, the whole of the NHS would collapse overnight. But look at...
you might be right there, actually, yeah. We certainly wouldn't have any British fruit to eat.
And let's be reminded, the royals are German background, Saxe, Coburg, Gotha.
Yeah.
You know, the Pope was, he was German, wasn't he? So, we're moving around, and we're in the 21st century.
German, one of those countries, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Joan wants to build a wall around England, and there'd be a united Ireland. Eventually, Northern Ireland, it will be a united country, because the demographics of Northern Ireland is changing, so there will be a united Ireland eventually. May not be in our time, it's going to happen, but all this about get out of Europe, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Like a load of babies in a playground, you mustn't come over my line, this is our little corner.
It seems to be, like, what I get from a lot of people who bang on about we must get out of Europe is they seem to be representing the why can't things be like they used to be party.
Well, the other thing to be reminded of, I mean, France have a better health system than we do, and most European countries have a far better a pension that we have. You know, we get peanuts over here, as you know. We've got the banks; they've got all their bonuses, while we're closing down hospitals and all the rest of it.
It seems very telling to me that Europe is trying to curb bankers' bonuses, and the politicians in this country are trying to stop them from doing that. I mean, that alone would make me feel positively towards Europe and negatively towards our own politicians who are shills for the banking business.
Well, Nick, we're in the 21st century. The banks have walked away with bonuses because we've bailed them out. The plebs have bailed them out. All the ordinary taxpayers have bailed them out, and they're closing down casualties. And you know, fire stations are being closed down. Reduction of police on the streets. We've got appalling housing. And what we're doing? Let's get out of Europe. You know, we must get out of Europe. No, we want to stay in. And the reason why we've got the European Union is because of the, emerging markets around the world. So if Joan can stop the emerging markets like China and South America and Brazil and all the rest of it, we're not going to get out of Europe. It will only expand eventually. And one last point, which is very important, Nick, this Romania and Bulgaria, whatever it is, who's joining the Union next year, they're all going to come. Why would they come here? We've got no homes or flats to house our own people. We've got no jobs because of the unemployment. They're not going to come over here in their tens of thousands. They says there's 22 million. That's the whole population of Bulgaria and Romania. They says 22 million is likely to come over. It's nonsense. It's newspapers.
22 million. 22 million? Nobody's ever said that, Tony. You're delusional. Who is they?
Nick, they says 22...
Who they?
Well, the newspapers, I don't read newspapers, but when it's shoved under my... I've not bought a newspaper, Nick, for 13 years.
No.
But until we can get the Jones of this world and the ordinary people to start... You know, we read what we read.
Nobody has any idea what you're talking about. When one caller starts picking on another caller that we heard, like, hours ago, no one has any idea what you're on about, Tony. But anyway, thanks a lot. Newspapers... 0845 6060 973. Bulgarians and Romanians are going to turn their noses up at fruit-picking jobs because the work's too hard. The government's immigration advisors, the Migration Advisory Committee, say more workers may have to be brought in from outside the EU because Bulgarians and Romanians don't want to pick our fruit. They come over here, they don't pick our fruit. They could be asked to examine why some employers are reluctant to employ Britons for lower-skilled jobs, preferring to choose migrants instead, says the Migration Advisory Committee. Well, the reason that some employers are reluctant to employ Britons is, and they choose migrants instead, because they're cheaper, obviously. When did you last get served in a restaurant by somebody who was British? Can you think back that long? Why? It's because restaurants pay tiny amounts of money. 21,000 workers from Bulgaria and Romania, not 21 million, 21,000 workers from the two countries currently pick fruit and vegetables on farms in the UK for up to 6 months under the Seasonal Agricultural Workers Scheme. And they do that because we don't want to. Professor David of the Migration Advisory Committee said in 2014... when the Romanians and Bulgarians get completely free access to the labour market, they will decide that they would rather go to work in hotels or pubs or Tesco, and therefore will there be enough people to pick our strawberries? You used to be able to pick your own strawberries. Can you do that anymore? Farmers, I mean, it's not something you'd want as a job, but it was amusing for an afternoon, and then you'd have a kitchen just groaning full of strawberries and no idea what to do with them. He said, farmers are wanting a scheme from outside the EU at a time that we've got 25 million unemployed in the EU. Yeah, but there's 25 million people who are unemployed in the EU who don't want to do jobs that are difficult or taxing or hard in any way. Like picking fruit must be. I mean, like I said, you wouldn't want to have a job picking strawberries, but it was an amusement for an afternoon. You go with your mum, and you'd be dragging along the basket behind her, eating all of them and putting none in the basket. I remember it well. Professor David of the Migration Advisory Committee said we might get asked to take a look at the lower skilled end of the British labour market and in some senses why it is that there seems to be a preference from some employers for EU workers instead of British workers. Well, it's because British workers don't want to do it. It's not a preference necessarily by the people giving out the jobs. It's a preference that's been expressed by the people in this country for not showing up for the jobs in the first place. The number of jobs open to both migrants and British workers on the list has reduced from more than 1 million to 180,000. Wow. There are proposals to automatically remove medical, engineering, nuclear and education jobs from the shortage occupation list, a group of important occupations that the British workforce cannot fill, or do not want to fill, more like, after they've been on it for more than 2 years, etc. and so on. Farmers fear that Bulgarians and Romanians will turn their noses up at fruit-picking jobs because the work is too hard. But you can't blame them, because the only reason that they would be invited to take those jobs is because we've previously turned our noses up at them, because we don't want to do them either. Let's have a call in Vauxhall. Stacey.
Aye, there, Nick.
Stacey.
Aye, that's me speaking.
Yes, Stacey.
Hello. Yes. I would like to mention. I'm not such a great fan of these multinational companies and that. Yeah, but we have our the French ready-to-eat one, the Pret-a-Manger here. These good folks are kind enough.
Not actually French, but go on. The only thing French about them is the name.
Yeah, well, okay, but they're still a multinational anywho, yeah? But those kind
only
folks...
just.
Tongue-in-cheek, I say, those kind folks are good enough to give us poor folks like me in the hostels free food and that,
yes, they do.
They deliver food to us at night time at 11 o'clock, the vans come round and that, yeah? Now, which is good, you know, I'm not opposed to it, you know, the food's not bad and that, yeah? But it says on the packets that it's, made that day, and it's like, it's never in the shop for more than a day, and that is all very fresh and that, yeah?
Right.
That doesn't leave them very much time to test anything, does it? What's coming in, yeah? You see what I mean?
No.
And these supermarkets, they have things on the shelves or in the freezers for, days, weeks, whatever and that, yeah? And they're pulling things off to test them, and they have obviously time to do that. Well, the stuff in Pret-a-Manger, it's not even in there for a day. It's in there for less than a day.
Well, you'd have to have some kind of bizarre mind, Stacey, to take a negative from that. That they only have their sandwiches on... other competitors, if you go to a supermarket, for instance, they'll have a date stamped on the sandwich, which may be 2 or 3 days in advance. That, to me, is a negative. It's a positive. Up until taking this call, I hadn't seen the fault in the way that they conduct their business. Leaving sandwiches for only 1 day is a negative, because they don't have enough time to take them off the shelves and test them. I would want them to be tested before they stick them up a sandwich, Stacey.
They don't even tell us what's in it. The sandwiches come and there's nothing that you can maybe look at and have a good guess what's in it. But actually, written on the sandwiches, there's nothing written on it to say what's in it.
You have to go to their shop, and then it's written on the shelf.
Well, poor people like me can't afford to go in the shop, you know.
Yeah. So
I'm a poor old soldier with post-traumatic stress disorder in a crazy hostel at the moment.
And your complaint is that the free food that you're getting hasn't been labelled as to what's in the sandwich. Well, you just open enough sandwiches, and eventually you'll come up with something you like. Bingo.
Well, I kind of do go through them anyway that way in the fridge before everybody else gets to look at them in the hostel, yeah? Get their grubby hands on them.
Yeah, get your grubby hands on them first. That's right, yeah.
Indeed, yeah. It's my mess, so I can eat it, you know.
Okay, thanks for that opportunity to glance through the window of your life. Cheers, Stacey. 0845 6060-973. You'd have to say, that, by the way, I mean, just talking about that company, they did revolutionise lunch. Can you remember before that company existed, when you used to go and buy a sandwich, it would be in a sandwich shop? Not a chain, just a sandwich shop, which was run by a non-British person. Always a non-British person who run these shops. Same as any small store. Non-British people have revolutionised shopping in this country. Thank you, on behalf of us all. I appreciate your efforts for, staying up, or keeping your shops open after 5 o'clock and after 1 o'clock on Saturdays and opening on Sundays. Revolutionary thoughts like that. But that sandwich store that we've just been mentioning, they did revolutionise lunch, because before that you used to have to go to an independent, grotty sandwich shop, and they would cut the... If you asked for a tuna, then they would try to get the spoon through the brown skin that had formed itself over several days over this mound of tuna on a plate. They'd shoo the flies away and then scoop some of that unctuous and vile product into a margarine-slathered bit of sliced bread. You just want to make your own. And they revolutionised lunch. They did. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, this has nothing to do with what we were talking about. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
LBC 97.3.
Affirmative.
0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC 973. Things that Wales have done for us. By text and email. This says, Dame Shirley Bassey, Tommy Cooper, Sir Harry Seacombe, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Soda Bread. The Daffodil. And Tudors. And Rob Brydon. What Wales has done for us is to take hordes of evacuees into their homes during World War II. Henry VII was from Wales. He was the father of Henry... I've read that one, I'm sure I have. Dylan Thomas, Neil Kinnock, yes, read all these. The Stereophonics. Catherine Zeta-Jones, Bonnie Tyler and Anthony Hopkins. It's the same names coming up over and over and over again. The Wales showed us how to be unhealthily patriotic. Oh. Wales has given Australia its first Prime Minister. Aled Jones, Miss World winner Helen Morgan, Shirley Bassey, Tom Jones, again, Dylan Thomas, again. Ruth Maddock and Ruth Jones. Wales gave us Catherine Zeta-Jones, again. Sir Harry Seacombe, again. And Welsh Lamb. The Manic Street Preachers. Actually, Wales has not been good for music, has it? Stereophonics and Manic Street Preachers. I rest my case. Bullet for My Valentine. That sounds like it would be a band. I have no idea, but that's what somebody suggested. Ivor the Engine, Catherine Zeta-Jones, again. Stereophonics, again. Anthony Hopkins, again. It's the same names over and over and over. And South Wales provided the coal that powered the Royal Navy that created the empire that made London so very rich. Well, there you are. Here's a call in Waldingham. Hello, Cassie.
Hello, Nick.
Cassie,
how are you?
I am great, mate.
Great to hear you again.
Here I am, again.
Yeah. You talked about a zebu earlier on in the show.
Zebus, yeah.
Would that be a cross between a zebra and a caribou?
Well, that's what I would thought, because the name does suggest that it's a cross, but if you look at the picture of it, it's hard to believe that that is the case, unless something's gone horribly wrong.
Because a caribou would taste like deer, wouldn't it?
A bit like chicken, I expect.
I don't really know. I've never tasted it.
Caribou. I bet there's nothing wrong with caribou.
No, I should think they hunted it in times gone by.
Well, yeah, that's right. Our ancestors found them delicious.
Well, I think Wales has given us you, or half of you, and that's something to be thankful for.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, I was agreeing with Joan about Nigel Farage. I find that he's very strong and he sounds strong anyway, and very positive.
He sounds like a DJ to me. The way he speaks, it sounds DJ-ish.
Yeah, but everything he says is good and positive and what you want to hear. I don't know an awful lot about the party or what I'm not impressed by a lot of the people who are their followers, or who a lot of them sound like a bit yobbish and a bit. Well, I know that's probably sounding terribly rude, but they sound. It worries me that they might be a bit too much the other way. And
a bit too right-wing.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do like him, and I like what they say they stand for. And I have absolutely no time for the Conservative Party at all, or any of the politicians that we have at the moment.
Now, is this a recent phenomenon, your dislike for the Conservative Party, or has it always been that way?
It's probably been in the last year and a half.
Right.
The politicians, the banks, I put them all together as being of the same type.
Yeah.
And it's a very destructive force. It's as though, well, I don't know what their plans are, but
I'm sure their plans are they're short term and immediate profits.
But people are tired. People are disappointed, and people's spirits are very low. And it's very, very hard to get excited about anything anymore to do with politics, because it's going to be more of the same.
Yeah, well, this is what's surprising to me, that there was a 52% turnout, because I think that's quite high.
Yeah, I know it was just a by-election, but it just shows you where people are with regards what we have at the moment. Just totally turned off by them.
But 52% does suggest that that's not quite the case. Because if it had been 30% or 25%, which would have been an unremarkable turnout on a freezing cold day and like a mid term by-election, you wouldn't have been surprised if it had been 30%. But 52%, that's more than half of the people that could have voted did go and vote, which kind of suggests to me that that it wasn't a representative sample of the population, that perhaps UKIP did so well because a vast majority of the number of people that would have voted for them if they just could sit on their sofa and press their television remote control to vote, without actually having to leave the house and go to the polling station and all that goes with that, that they were impelled to go out disproportionately, the people that were going to vote for UKIP, and that's why they did so well. That would be one reading of the statistics.
Yeah.
But apparently I'm the only person who's saying that.
Well, could I talk to you a little bit about food?
Food, glorious food.
Yes. With regards all of the additives and all of the rubbish in our food, and we don't know what we're eating and everything else. And I'm surprised to hear you say that you accept your food on a styrofoam thing covered in cling film, and that's how you would buy meat, and you don't want to know if it's real.
Well, no, I do want to know that it's real. I just don't want to go to. I just don't want to go into a butcher's store, and I know that's going to put a lot of people's backs up. But first of all, I don't like the smell. Second, I don't like to be confronted with lots of giant
dead
bits
animals.
of hanging dead animals. Yeah.
No, well, I was thinking, wouldn't it be a good time now for us to buy directly from farmers? Because farmers over the years have paid a pittance. I mean, the supermarkets have paid a pittance to farmers for milk and for everything else.
Yeah.
And we could probably do a better deal if we were to buy straight from the farmers. We'd know what we're getting. It'd all be, well, I particularly like British beef. I like to know what I'm eating, and I like to shop locally.
Well, you know what? I could, if it really came down to it, if my life depended on it, I could probably kill a chicken. But I'm not sure I could strangle a cow. I think the cow would probably win.
No, but you could go visit a farm And it's nice to know that there are still farms where chickens run free in the farmyard, and they're not all penned up, and animals aren't all caged. And that, to me, makes it all much better.
Well, yeah, they probably taste better as well. I mean, if the animal had a happy life, up to, but not including the point at which they got shot, then their meat probably tastes more delicious.
Well, it does. It's absolutely delicious. And I think the supermarkets have just been selling us rubbish, lying to us.
Well, I don't think you could say that the supermarkets have been lying to us. If anything, it appears as though they have been lied to. And, we only eat so well because of supermarkets. If we had to still go around town shopping in each individual store, which, as people, we have decided not to do anymore, hence the death of the high street, it's not the supermarket's fault, it's our fault. We've never had it so good as far as food goes, and it's because of the supermarkets. Yeah, Cassie, I'm going to have to leave it there because I'm past a break. 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC973. The time, 12:30.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Everything is going extremely well.
Yes, it certainly is. It is St. David's Day weekend. Let's use that phrase to stretch it over into today too. What has Wales ever done for us was one of the questions I've asked. And Wales gave us the Welsh cob, a breed of horse prized all over the world. Yes, I find them to be delicious. This says, Nick, the Welsh gave us the world's first working steam locomotive, the highest concentration of medieval castles and ancient monuments, and the oldest surviving language in Europe. 1,000 years older than English, says Marilyn. And Wales has given us that unpronounceable name with 64 letters. Llanfairich Paul. Actually, if you know what it sounds like, don't look at the word because it will scramble your brain. But it ends Clancecilio Gogogo. That I do know. Here is Stockwell. Hello, Laura.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Well, I'm a Romanian myself, and I've been living here for nearly 8 years now.
Oh, yes.
And I think UK's got the wrong impression about Eastern Europe, and especially Romanians and Bulgarians, and what's going to happen in 2014 if they're going to have freedom to work and stuff like that.
Well, what do you think our impression is?
Well, you think now, if now people don't come from Romania or Bulgaria just because they won't have the right to work, and once they will have that right, they will just invade the country, which I think is completely wrong.
Okay, why do you think that?
Because anyone that wanted to work here, they came without any problem, and they working as self-employed, or they got the blue cards, which used to be quite easy to get them, and I heard now that it's a bit harder, but it's not impossible. And I know every single country's got their bad points and bad people, and even UK's got, not everyone is perfect, same with Romanians.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Not everybody in the UK is perfect? That's racist, Laura.
No, it's not racist. It's the truth.
Okay. Well, there's probably like one or two. Yeah, I haven't met anybody that's not perfect yet, but then, I've only been alive for 52 years. But go ahead.
Well, then you're lucky. You can call yourself lucky. So, yeah, I think anyone that wants to work at the moment and it's in Romania or Bulgaria, they will be on the next flight here and they will find work without any problem. So it's not the work permit that is stopping them from coming, as UK is worrying that once they're going to give freedom to that, everyone's going to come and 21,000 people is just going to come here and invade the labour market, which is, I don't think it's true. But obviously we can't know unless that's going to happen, and that will be probably in 2014 if we're lucky.
Yeah, we'll find out. So why did you come here, Laura?
But I came here with my parents,
Right.
so I was too young back then to realize what was going on. And I came before I think Romania was they would still have to apply for visas, and they were not part of the EU then.
Now, given that you do live in Stockwell, how are you finding it so far?
I find it great. I mean,
Really?
to be honest, I would not go back home to live there. I do like to go on holiday and just see my friends and whoever's back there.
Take a break
But-
from Stockwell. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, exactly. Take a break from the perfect word and perfect people and everything,
Yeah,
and go
of
and-
Stockwell, yeah.
But,
Well, it's known for its perfection.
well, yeah.
Every time I drive through it, winding the windows up and locking my car doors, I peer out of the window and think, look at this perfection as I go through Stockwell at the maximum allowed speed.
Well, I know. So, see, UK does have his, especially London, does have his part, that part as well.
Say that
It's not
again.
Romanians that. I said UK,
Yeah.
especially like London,
Mhm.
does have his bad part.
But bad parts.
well.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't want to mention Stockwell in relation to that, but yeah, I'm sure there are bad parts of London, yeah. Insalubrious areas where, unless you absolutely had to, you wouldn't want to go. Not that I'm mentioning Stockwell in relation to that, but... OK, good to talk to you, Laura. Thanks a lot. Cheers, my dear. 0845 6060 973. Here is Bracknell. Hello, Geoffrey.
Yeah, Nick, earlier you said you wanted some factual evidence to support the critique of this elitist, top-down political union that's been forced upon the majority of the European national
Right.
peoples.
It doesn't
against
sound
their
like
will.
something I'd say, because it sounds like you just swallowed a dictionary, but...
No,
Go on.
I'm just trying a certain legalese orientation to my sentence construction to get clarity and to get...
Yes, well, stop wasting the time of the court and get on with it, man.
Well, listen, Britain is the second largest net contributor to the EU budget. So the Romanians, the Bulgarians, and Bulgaria has been condemned as an endemically corrupt country by
as opposed to
European
this,
Union
as opposed to
itself.
this one. Mm-hmm.
No, by the European Union investigated itself. We know that the Greeks lied totally at governmental level. They lied totally to enter the euro. The French sent them
Well,
in
with the help,
they lied.
with the
They lied.
with the help of banks based in London.
and that makes it better, does it?
No, that doesn't make it better, but that mitigates against what you're saying. It wasn't just the Greeks that did it; it was the City of London that did it too.
The whole system's corrupt. Yes, the whole
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Well, as long as we can agree on that.
Well, yeah. So, and let's look at other pan-national political configurations. That
What?
when the people pan-national configurations, the political configuration, that's what the European Union is. The Soviet Union. As soon as the Soviet Union had the communist dictatorship oppression taken away from it,
Yeah.
it all broke up. It broke up into the Confederation of Independent States. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, all those
stands. Mm-hmm.
all those southern Islamic republics decided they didn't want to be a member of it. Georgia didn't want to be a member of it. Ukraine didn't want to be a member of it. Belarus didn't want to be a member of it. Let's look at also Tito, post-Tito.
But what's your
Yugoslavia.
point there, though? I mean, are you saying that aren't they doing well?
What I'm saying is that when people are given the free choice rather than having a total elitist construct forced upon them, which is the European Union is, that's why they'll never allow us to have a referendum in this
Yeah,
country.
but it's not a dictatorship, though.
Well, it is. I'm
No,
sorry,
it isn't.
It is.
It is
Why isn't
not.
It? Why isn't it? Well, who elected the president of the European Union, Herbert von Rompuy? When did you get a vote?
You can't possibly.
When did you get a vote to
cannot
Herbert von
possibly compare Herbert von Rompuy to previous Soviet dictators. What are you talking about, man?
No, okay, well,
See,
okay,
this is the problem with the
Emmanuel
this is the
Brodsky.
problem with the European argument. Is
All
people
right.
feel their points of view very, very strongly,
No, it's a
but they
fact,
don't
it's a
actually know
fact.
why they think it.
I do know. I think it. Listen, of the 13 European commissioners who drive through policy, who recommend policy to the European Parliament, how many of those were elected? One of whom was Peter Mandelson. One of whom was the current head of the BBC. What's his name? I can't remember this, but the guy was the governor of Hong Kong. Chris is why it's an effective dictatorship. And you say, and these are facts.
But, but most of the people that are deciding the way that this country runs are civil servants, none of whom have been elected.
Well, okay, yeah.
Zero amount of them have been elected, and the government is continuously whining about they can't do this and they can't do that because civil servants won't let them do it. How many civil servants have you voted for in your life?
So why would you want? And as you said earlier, you actually got on a favourable point. Why would you want another? Yes, another level.
Yeah, no, I said this already. I strip out the bureaucracy. There's too much waste. There's no question about that.
Yeah. Yes, and tell me, what happened when BMW took over our indigenous car industry, British Leyland, in this country? Within 5 years, they'd shut it down. They'd shut it down because they don't want German car industry doesn't want an effective British car industry in this country to operate because it would be in competition with the exportation.
I seriously doubt that the German car industry is trembling with fear over what the British car industry used to do.
Well, exactly, because they shut them down. They bought them out and they shut them down. That's why you've got thousands of people, good quality engineers in the West Midlands who now.
I expect one of the reasons that they shut the car industry down is because they were perpetually on strike, because the cars that they used to make were terrible.
Well, the Rover 75 was a BMW product. The Rover 75, but they decided...
There you are. He said the word Rover. I rest my case.
Well, yeah, but the point is, you'd rather have a German worker in Ulm or in Stuttgart or in Munich...
I'd rather have a German car.
Yeah, but what's the consequence? Look, think through the consequences of you demanding, wanting, desiring German-engineered products.
Yes.
It means we have unemployment in this country, and then you also...
No, it does. It does not. It should mean. It should mean. You can't criticise. Wait a minute. You cannot criticise me, the customer, for trying to choose the best product.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying the consequences of international trade, where people have the total freedom of choice of buying whatever is the best product, means that in the end you'll have a competitive situation where the strongest competitor will win,
right.
And that's why you've got centralised European car manufacturing in Germany. Or
yes, because they do it best. I mean, if you have a protected industry, then the car that you would be driving right now, Jeffrey, would be a Trabant.
Yeah. No, well, that's if you're in East Germany, if you're in East German communist state, yeah, it would be. But we used to, as you said, you just slagged them off. Hillman, Rover, Austin.
Listen, the first car that my family ever had was a Hillman Imp. I know what I'm talking about. They were rubbish.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to have unemployment in this country because we're going to buy all our German cars, and we're going to have unemployment in this country by importing cheap foreign labour from the Eastern Europeans, which you seem to want. Yeah. So they come pick our fruit.
Well, they're doing that because we don't want to. The fruit would be withering on the vine, Jeffrey, if it waited for British workers to go and pick it.
And let's look at the facts. Why are they going to do that? Why are thousands and thousands of Bulgarians coming? Because do you know what the average wage in Bulgaria is at the moment? The minimum wage? 63 pence an hour. 63 pence an hour.
Wow, it's like working for LBC.
Well, it's ridiculous. Let's put our brains together. It's a really difficult sum. This is. Let me think. I'm a Bulgarian. I've got the chance of staying in Bulgaria, which is endemically condemned as corrupt by the European Union investigators.
Yeah. Unlike the City of London, for instance. Yes.
Grabbing a bus for £70 to come to the UK to pick up 10 times as much as I can earn back in Bulgaria.
And the only reason that they can pick up that job is that British workers absolutely flat out refuse to do it.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yes, it absolutely is. Absolutely is. Listen, answer me this question. I will repose the same question that I asked out loud some moments ago. When was the last time you went to a restaurant and you were served by a British person? There is your answer in a nutshell. 0845 6060 973. But it's been inspirational as always, Jeffrey. Thanks for that. This is Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Yeah, this is why I don't like talking about Europe, because people's tempers just get flared instantly. And they start, like, spewing out, as I do, unformed thoughts. They got no one has any idea what we're talking about. Oh, we'd be much better off if we weren't in Europe. And how do you know that? Well, you've crunched through all of the economic data, have you? No, you just read it in a newspaper. Or you thought, oh, well, bleeding foreigners, they come over here, they squiring our lady folk. Brussels, boo, is to curb bankers' bonuses from next year. Well, that doesn't sound so bad now, does it? Unless you're a member of the government, in which case you do think that it is bad. Britain was the only EU member to oppose the plan to curb bankers' bonuses. We were the only one who said no. It was supported enthusiastically by France and every other country. It also, this creates a political headache for David Cameron and his Chancellor. You remember his Chancellor, don't you? George Osborne? No! Yeah, him. Who are risking unpopularity, says the front page of the Super Soaraway Times, if they are seen to defend multi-million-pound payouts for bankers so soon after the crash. It's like we're a beaten woman clinging to her abusive boyfriend. Oh, but I really love him. That's what we're like with the banks. They'll continue hitting us in the face, and we're still clinging to them desperately. Oh, we really, really love you. It's like we literally are Rihanna, whoever that is. Brussels wants to curb bankers' bonuses. Not curb them, like, massively. Curb them to within 1 or 2 years' salary per bonus. So it's not like they're going to be hard up. And even that is not acceptable to our government, our British government, standing up for, not us, them. The Chancellor will make one last attempt to block the bonus cap next week when he meets fellow finance ministers in Brussels, although senior EU figures said that his scope for change was very limited. Bozo the Mayor has slung his idea, his hat into the ring. He says, people will wonder why we stay in the EU if it persists in such transparently self-defeating policies. Once again, another shill for the banking racket. The curbs will see a cap on bankers' bonuses at 1 year's salary. Do you, dear listener, enjoy a bonus of 1 whole year of your salary just for showing up for work? Banks will also be forced to publish the amount of tax they pay, profit they make, and subsidies they receive in every country in which they operate under an additional part of the plan. Well, that sounds like excellent news. The EU is asking us to comply with that, and our government, with, I don't know, we expected to believe that they have our best interests at heart when they're refusing to play that game? You know, some things that the EU do are daft, just like some things that we do are daft. But on the other hand, you'd have to say that, on balance, Roger Jenkins, former head of Barclays Capital, was paid £75 million by the bank during the boom years. £75 million. There's 1,500 UK bank staff who earned £1 million or more during 2011. 1,500. £1 million or more in 1 year. There's 500 at Barclays thought to be earning at least £1 million. And the amount that bankers pay themselves is disproportionately insane. It's not just off the scale. It's just berserk. It's off planet. And it's totally and utterly unjustified. And they pay it because they can. Because under the radar, unbeknownst to us, until the world fell on its face because of them, they had been they'd been going down this path. Only after we found out about it were we outraged and shocked. And now they say it's too late. Oh, because everybody else is doing it, we must do it too. It's absolutely insane. And it's an insane system, and it's obviously insane because it has brought the world to ruin. And yet, the only country in Europe to defend this insanity is this country. Now, if you think that they are defending your interests, you're deluded. Here's Barnes. Hello, James.
Hello. Now then, Nick. First of all, can I just put you right on something about the gangs that come over here and work on the farms? I'm not talking from newspapers. I'm talking an industry which I know and have been involved with most of my life. The people over here would work. They'd like to work on the farms, an awful lot of them. They can't work on them because they come over, the gangs come over under gang masters, which are employed by the farmers because the labour is cheaper, and they work together in a gang, and they work from camps, which they set up themselves, and people from the local community are made to feel very unwelcome. In fact, they can't...
Well, now, hang on a minute, James. Aren't farmers from the local community?
Yes, of course.
Well, then it's their fault.
It's not, look,
No, it absolutely is their fault. If farmers refuse to pay a wage that British people can actually live on, then it's their fault.
People who are the local labour.
Well, that would be farmers, wouldn't it? Farmers are local by definition.
Oh, come on, look, I can do a sensible argument.
There is a sensible argument. You're blaming people who are coming over here to work for a pittance, but it's not them that's the problem. It's the farmers who are paying the pittance. Accuse me of coming up with a ridiculous argument. That's daft. Saying that they're ruining the lives of local people. Well, who are these local people? Farmers are local. What did Wales ever do for us? Christian Bale played Batman. He's Welsh. What's his name? Ewan? Iowan. I never know how to pronounce that guy's name. Was it?
Ion?
Ion? That's definitely not right. Ion. I'm going to say Ewan. Ewan Grufford. I never know what that's supposed to be. Is it Griffiths? Iowan Grufford played Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. He's Welsh. Rhys Ifans played the lizard villain in the last Hollywood Spider-Man film. Martin Sheen played David Frost. J.P.R. Williams is one of the best rugby players ever. I have no idea. I can go on and on, says Mac in Islington. You've said enough. Hi, Nick. Wales has given us the stones used for Stonehenge. The composer Carl Jenkins and hard rock legends Budgie. Yeah, like I said before, Welsh music, they're not punching above their weight, really, are they? Wales has given us Shaking Stevens. I rest my case. They also gave us Dave Edmunds. Oh, well. See, 1 out of 10, not bad. Wales has given us the super furry animals. See? Yeah. Wales has given us cremation. Wales gave us burning dead people. No, they did not. They've given us lots of places for holiday homes. Oh, you mean cremation of holiday homes? And lots of great music. No, that is wrong. Not lots of great music. There's the inverse of that. It's taken us the best part of 3 hours to come up with Dave Edmunds. Other than that, we've come up with nothing. Nothing that anybody would, in their right frame of mind, would actually want to listen to. Nick, have you forgotten the lovely Eve Miles? I have no idea who that is. Not only have I not forgotten her, I'd never heard of her. Wales gave me my mum Jean, says Dave. Oh, well. Say no more. Harlow, Brian.
Hello, Nick.
Hello,
How
Brian.
Are you?
I am super. Thanks for asking.
Well, you are, because it was an unexpected pleasure to hear you on the air on a Thursday night.
It's Friday.
Is it?
It's Friday into Saturday, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Wow, you lost today there, Brian.
I do that on a regular basis. Yeah, I was thinking about the European situation. A few years ago, it must be about 5 years ago now, I had a holiday rover to a lady who was a Russian lady who was a boarding school teacher in Malta. And she was looking at coming over here, to maybe continue the friendship. And I went to the Malta embassy and everything, or British embassy, whatever it was in Malta. It was actually a nightmare, and you think how different it is between different countries in terms of getting visitation rights and things.
Yeah.
it was a great pity.
So this was a nascent love affair that didn't go anywhere because of the evil authorities.
No, I don't know if it would have gone anywhere anyway, right. Nick, to be honest with you. I'm a singleton. But, you know, it would have been nice for her to visit. And, you know, she also, I won't bore you with the details, but
no, too late.
No, I suffer the bipolar disorder, and she could have claimed, you know, I was looking whether she could have claimed carer's allowance, which was almost the same rate that she was being paid for the job she did on the boarding school teaching.
But sadly, it did not come to pass.
It did not come to pass,
right.
No.
Well, there ends the story.
There ends the story.
Unfortunately. So 4 years ago, you met a Russian lady, and she said,
"I really like you. Do you like me?"
And you said, "Yeah, sure. Let's make a go of it." And the evil Maltesers wouldn't let you do it. Something there or thereabouts. I'm Nick Abbott, back at 10 p.m. Meanwhile, Christo.